She woke up to the smell of mold and concrete. Her wrists were raw. The room was pitch black, except for a thin line of light bleeding under a door she couldn't reach. And somewhere above her head, through layers of stone and silence, she could hear laughter. The kind of laughter that comes easy when you think you've won, when you think no one will ever know what you've done. This is the story of a woman who built an empire with her own hands, only to have it stolen by the people she trusted most. A woman who disappeared from the world while her face still smiled from magazine covers. A woman who spent 8 months chained in a basement while the people who put her there lived in her house, spent her money, and told everyone she was fine. But here's the thing about people who survive the unthinkable. They don't always scream. Sometimes they wait. They watch. They remember every single detail. And when their moment comes, they don't just fight back. They dismantle everything. Her name was Claire Morgan, and if you'd met her 5 years ago, you would have thought she had it all figured out. At 34, she was the founder and CEO of Sentinel Tech, a cybersecurity firm that protected some of the biggest companies in America. She didn't inherit money. She didn't marry into wealth. She built it herself, one line of code at a time, working 16-hour days in a cramped apartment while her college friends were out living their 20s. Her parents, both factory workers in Ohio, cried the day she bought them a house. Her father, a man who never asked for anything, held her hand and said, "You did it, baby girl. You really did it." Claire never forgot that moment. She kept a photo of them on her desk, right next to her coffee mug. Every decision she made, every risk she took, she thought about them. She thought about proving that hard work still mattered, that you didn't need connections or luck, just grit. And for a long time, it worked, until the day she met Daniel Hayes. Before we dive deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And if you're new here, click on the subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. Daniel wasn't like the men Claire usually met at tech conferences. He didn't talk over her. He didn't name drop or flex about funding rounds. He was quiet, thoughtful, almost shy. He worked in finance, he said, managing investments for private clients. Nothing flashy. When he asked her to dinner, she almost said no. She was busy. She was always busy. But something about the way he listened made her say yes. They dated for 8 months before he proposed. And in that time, Claire saw nothing but green flags. He respected her work. He didn't try to change her. He even got along with her parents, which was huge. Her mother loved him, said he reminded her of Claire's father when they first met. Steady, reliable, kind. The wedding was small. Just family and a few close friends. Daniel's family flew in from Boston. His mother, Patricia, was polished and elegant in a way that made Claire feel a little out of place. His father, Robert, barely spoke, but when he did, it was always about money, investments, opportunities. And Daniel's younger sister, Natalie, smiled a lot but never quite met Claire's eyes. Still, Claire chalked it up to nerves, new family, new dynamics. She wanted it to work. So she ignored the small things. The way Patricia asked too many questions about the company. The way Robert studied her like she was a stock portfolio. The way Natalie always seemed to be watching. The first 6 months of marriage were fine. Normal even. Daniel was supportive, or at least he seemed to be. But then he started offering advice. Little comments here and there. Maybe you should bring someone in to help with operations. You're stretched too thin. You're too emotional in negotiations. You need to be tougher. At first, Claire thought he was trying to help, but the comments kept coming. And they started to sting. Then one day, Daniel came home with a proposal. His family knew someone, a consultant, someone who could help streamline the business and prepare it for a potential acquisition. Her name was Monica Reeves, and she was, according to Daniel, one of the best in the industry. Claire didn't need a consultant. She knew her business inside and out. But Daniel pushed. So did his mother. Even Robert called her, which he never did, to say it was a smart move. So Claire said yes, and the day Monica walked into her office, everything changed. Monica was sharp, polished, confident. She asked all the right questions and had all the right answers. But there was something about the way she looked at Daniel. Something about the way he looked back. Claire told herself she was being paranoid, that the stress was getting to her. But then she started noticing things. Text messages that Daniel deleted too quickly. Late-night calls he took in another room. Receipts for dinners Claire wasn't at. And when she asked him about it, he laughed. He said she was working too hard. That she was imagining things. That maybe she needed to take a break. And for a moment, Claire believed him. Because that's what you do when you love someone. You give them the benefit of the doubt, even when your gut is screaming at you to run. It all came crashing down on a Tuesday night in November. Claire had been working late, trying to finalize a major contract. When she got home, Daniel was already in bed. She was exhausted. But something made her check his laptop. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was months of ignored red flags finally piling up. But when she opened it, she found everything. Emails between Daniel and Monica going back months. Plans to force Claire out of her own company. Legal documents drafted to transfer ownership. Financial records showing that Daniel had been siphoning money from their joint accounts into offshore accounts she didn't even know existed. And worst of all, messages between Daniel and his family, his mother, his father, his sister. All of them were in on it. They had planned this from the beginning, the marriage, the consultant, everything. Claire felt like the floor had been ripped out from under her. She printed everything. She copied the files onto a flash drive. And then she confronted him. She told him she wanted a divorce, that she was taking her company back, and that he could rot in whatever hole he crawled out of. Daniel didn't yell, he didn't panic. He just smiled. And that smile was the last thing she remembered before everything went black. When Claire woke up, she was in a basement. Cold. Dark. The air smelled like damp concrete and rust. Her wrists were zip-tied to a metal pipe. Her head was pounding. And standing in front of her, arms crossed, was Patricia Hayes. Daniel's mother looked down at her like she was a problem to be solved. Not a person. Not her daughter-in-law. Just an obstacle. Patricia told her how it was going to go. Claire would sign over control of Sentinel Tech. She would transfer her assets. She would do it quietly. And in return, they would let her live. Claire refused. She told them they'd never get away with it. That people would notice. That her business partner, a woman named Vanessa Cole, would ask questions. Patricia just laughed. She said the world already thought Claire was on a sabbatical. That Daniel and Monica were running the company beautifully in her absence. That her parents had been told she was taking time to focus on her mental health. No one was looking for her. No one was coming. And for the first time in her life, Claire felt truly helpless. But she didn't break. Not that day, not the next. Not even when they brought Monica down to show off Claire's wedding ring now on her finger. Not even when Daniel stood at the top of the stairs and told her this was her own fault for being too stubborn. Claire stayed quiet. She watched. She listened. And she waited. Months passed. Claire lost track of time. They fed her just enough to keep her alive. Sometimes Patricia came down to talk to her, to tell her how well the company was doing, how no one suspected a thing, how easy it had been to fool everyone. But they made mistakes. Small ones. Daniel got cocky. He started hosting parties at Claire's house, using her car, posting photos on social media with Monica by his side. And while he was busy playing CEO, Claire's real business partner Vanessa was starting to notice things. Contracts that didn't make sense. Financial decisions Claire would never make. Emails that sounded nothing like her. Vanessa tried to call Claire over and over. But Daniel always had an excuse. She's resting. She's traveling. She's taking time for herself. But Vanessa didn't buy it. So she started digging. She hired a private investigator. She pulled financial records. She tracked IP addresses. And one night, she found something. A single transaction. A payment made from Claire's personal account to a property management company. A property in Daniel's family name. A property no one was supposed to know about. And that's when Vanessa made the call that would change everything. The night of the charity gala, Daniel and Patricia were feeling invincible. They had decided to make a public appearance with Monica as the new face of Sentinel Tech. A bold move, a victory lap. They even brought Claire upstairs, cleaned her up, dressed her in one of her old dresses, drugged her just enough to keep her quiet, but awake enough to stand. They were going to parade her out. Proof that she was fine, that everything was fine. But what they didn't know was that Vanessa had already contacted the FBI, that agents were outside the venue, that every word, every movement was being recorded. When Claire walked onto that stage, she looked out at the crowd. She saw the cameras, the reporters, the people who once believed in her. And for the first time in 8 months, she found her voice. She told them everything, where she'd been, what had been done to her, who was responsible. The room went silent. And then the screens lit up. Security footage, financial records, recorded conversations, everything Vanessa had found, everything the FBI had built. The Hayes family tried to run, but there was nowhere to go. Daniel, Patricia, Robert, Natalie, Monica, all of them arrested, all of them charged. And Claire, the woman they tried to erase, stood in the center of it all and watched their perfect plan fall apart. The trial took almost a year. Claire had to relive every moment, every threat, every day in that basement. But she did it. And when the verdicts came down, every single one of them was guilty. Daniel got 15 years, Monica got 12, Patricia and Robert each got 10. Natalie, who cooperated, got 5. And Claire got her life back. But it wasn't the same life. She couldn't go back to the person she was before. She sold Sentinel Tech. Not because she had to, but because she wanted to start over. She wanted to build something that mattered in a different way, so she took the Hayes family mansion, the one they'd bought with her money, and she turned it into a shelter. A place for women escaping abuse, escaping control, escaping people who thought they could take everything. The basement where she was held became a resource center. A library. A place of healing, not a place to forget, but a place to remember, to honor survival. And every day, Claire walks those halls and reminds herself that the strongest thing you can do is refuse to disappear. So, I want to ask you something. If you were in Claire's position, what would you have done? Would you have fought back the way she did? Or would fear have kept you silent? Do you think justice always finds its way? Or do we have to fight for it ourselves? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one, and if this story reminded you that survival isn't just about staying alive, it's about reclaiming your power, then hit that subscribe button, because every week we bring you stories of real people who refuse to stay broken, stories that prove the human spirit is stronger than anything that tries to destroy it. Thank you for watching. And remember, the quietest people aren't weak. They're just waiting for the right moment to rise.